get into it. We're going to be doing a review on the Book of Anthony. First and foremost, I appreciate all of y'all taking the time to read the book, and some of the reviews that you gave earlier about it, and just the things that y'all said about the book and how you enjoyed it. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Okay, so we're going to do this recorded interview with you guys and just ask you some questions and maybe a little trivia about the book. All right, so starting with the first question. I'll send it to you, Jonathan. Did you like the book, dislike the book, or are you undecided?
I thought it was a really good book. I thought it was very interesting how it started out, and throughout the book it became more engaging or more exciting, more full of entertainment, I guess you could
Okay. Okay, cool.
And I think you should ask all of us that.
Well, I am, definitely. So, Angelica, the same question. Do you need me to repeat it?
Yes.
Did you like the book, dislike the book, or are you undecided?
I loved the book.
You love the book, okay.
I did. For the same reasons that he said. But to me, the beginning of it, it was just, you have to go through all these emotions of laughing. You can cry in the book as well. And you just get immersed in it. And you don't know where it's going to take you. But you're on for the journey. So I really did appreciate that in the book.
You cried while reading?
I did. And cause somebody died. Or not, they didn't die, but they gone. They left.
Are you talking about Josh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and different parts of it was just having me like, yo, like even with the, I know I'm going ahead of myself.
No, that's cool.
With the crocodile, was it the crocodile or alligator?
Alligator.
The alligator in the thing. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? You can already see. It's like a movie. You're watching it. Like, I know something about to happen.
Yeah.
I know something bad about to happen. And how did he get in there? And why did he get in there? But it's always somebody gonna do something. And that big old alligator, man. I'm like, I'm so glad they was able to survive. But yeah, it was you go through all those emotions. So I really was immersed in the book. It was really good.
Very good. So Jonathan, you didn't feel like crying throughout the book? You're too manly for that, right?
I wouldn't say crying was the emotion that I felt, but it was definitely some funny parts in there.
Okay.
And it was more of a, I guess you can say, more of a thrill.
Okay.
Yeah.
More of a thrill.
Okay, cool. All right, Gail, to you. Did you like the book, dislike the book, or are you undecided?
I actually love the book as well.
Okay.
Like Angelica.
Two loves, I like that.
I thought it was great. I don't want to sound like I'm saying the same things that they're saying that they've already said, but the book was just really good. It was really good. I would like to say that the first time that I read it, just in reading about the beauty supply store, how even Angelica, and she already said it one time, but since this is different, let me stop.
Let's just say
I don't want to.
Don't worry about that camera, man. Don't you worry about that camera. Just say a piece.
But just thinking about how going into the beauty supply store with Anthony, or the narrator describing, and it was so real, because it's like what you see when you go into a beauty supply store, and the experience is just like that. Seeing the overflow with the boxes of whatever, and not just the hair weave, but other products, even the barrettes and stuff for the little girls and stuff like that. Just seeing all of it, it was really real to life.
Yeah.
Seeing that.
And for me as the author, I wanted to put that in the beginning, the very beginning of the story, him getting his hair braided and that experience, because our hair is a very important part of our journey as Black people. You know what I'm saying? And it starts from our youth. And I wanted to introduce that from the very beginning. You see Anthony going through this transformation from growing his hair out, getting the afro, getting it braided, going into the beauty supply store with his father. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing that. A lot of time we don't see positive black male images, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to introduce that from the onset, you know, and that he is in the home and that he does have, you know, headship and whatnot, and I wanted to introduce that from the beginning.
And that soul brother.
Yeah.
I know, right?
You know?
I can picture it in my head
Yeah.
right now. Like I knew exactly what you were
Mhm.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I was, like
Very
you ended-
relatable.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really was very descriptive.
All right. Second question to you, Jonathan. Is there anything in media you would compare this story to? So that can be TV show, movie, or book. So is there anything in media that you would compare the Book of Anthony to? Any singular, or if you got a couple of them, like, I felt like I was vibing off of this and vibing off, like, so just let me know. Is there anything in media that you can compare it to?
That's a good question. I honestly haven't watched a lot of shows that I could think of that could possibly be similar to this, or books either. I haven't read any books that I could think of that could be similar, that can relate to this. So it's a good question, but I'm not sure if I have an answer for that.
Okay.
And I believe you did ask me this before.
Is it because it's an all-black cast? Did that kind of throw you off? Or is it just the story arc altogether that's not really comparable, if you will?
It has nothing to do with the fact that it's a black, that the characters are black. It's more of just because I haven't read a lot of children books that are like comparable to this story.
I mean, but like any media, like if it's adult.
I would say if I was to compare it to anything, I would compare it to the Bible.
Okay.
You know, because
That's perfect.
yeah, absolutely, because it has the story of Exodus riding throughout the whole book. You know, like the character of Anthony, it reminds me a lot of like Moses' character. You know, and even Jared, which ended up becoming his good friend, I would say maybe one of his good best friends.
Yeah.
You know, was like that Aaron in the Bible. You know, and I like how you did that. You know, how you put the Bible into that book.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you know, a lot of people, a lot of books don't have. You know, I mean, there's like movies and shows, and I guess you can say that try to, you know, depict the Bible, but for a children's book, to do that in a children's book, there's not really, I don't know any book that has done that. Just me personally, because I haven't read any book, but
Yeah.
I like how you were able to do that and, you know, make it like a Exodus
Yeah.
in the book. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, because there are a few, but I don't think they're as notable as some of the other stuff that deals more with witchcraft and wizardry. Harry Potter being one, and many others that have come along that line. But we don't see prominent, renowned children's literature, especially that incorporates so much biblical elements. You know what I'm saying? And if it is, it's something attached to a Christian organization, and typically it can be kind of campy, a little corny. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay. Because I remember there being a television show back in like the early the early '90s or late '80s, where it was like a little boy and some robot, and they would go back in time to biblical times. Anybody remember that? I don't know when it was. I don't know if it was TBN or one of those Christian networks, but it was a cartoon series. Little white boy and some robot, and they would go back in time to, you know, biblical times, and they would live through those biblical times. You know, Noah's Ark or whatever the case might be. And it's an interesting concept, but like I mentioned that none of y'all even know what I'm talking about. So it didn't rise to a level of, you know what I'm saying, prominence to where it's like, okay, we can look back on that. But if I mention Harry Potter, 10-year-old today in 2024, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And that was written 25 years ago. You know what I'm saying? More than that. So, yeah, to your point, you know, in introducing those things into the story. Angelica, to you, same question. Is there anything in media you would compare this story to?
No. And I like what Jonathan's answer, and to me it is like the Bible, but the Bible is so real though. It's not a fictional book, and it's or a fictitious book. And on top of that, when you think about Star Wars and any of the other books, you can always see what's his name, Chronicle of Narnia, Lord of the Fly, and the Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. You can always see the biblical aspect behind it, and they tell you because they were alive, the authors, they got their inspiration from it. And books that's not canonized in the Bible, like you got Jubilees, Yasher, all these other books too, and Enoch, and they're describing these different books too, talking about how the men they were so stealthy, they were running on top of the grass, stalks, and they were just that, so I would say it's bringing it back to really what it can really be done, but that we don't necessarily see in our lifetime, and we don't want to believe it, but they sensationalize it so much in media. So it makes you think you can only see it in the movies. It's not real, but it really is real.
Yeah.
And when it really comes and hits you, imagine how many people are actually going to believe it, but that's how they desensitize us too.
Yeah.
So your book, I could see it when you read the Bible and you read the different books that are in the Bible, or just different books that is inspired by the Most High. You can see how that can be relatable and real for our time, but it definitely can, to me, it reminds me of biblical time, like Jonathan said, like Aaron, Moses and stuff, and just the faith that they had, the Ark of the Covenant, and things come and this stuff. But the Most High, He is real. He created all of this.
Yeah.
He created all everything that you see. That's just a miracle all within itself. So I like your book. It's different. It's not like Harry Potter. Even though, you might have the elements in it, because they knew that creatures could talk and that we could understand it, and they closed their mouths. You know what I'm saying? And people say that and somebody even asked that question. I was watching something and they said, well, how is it that Eve was able to speak to a serpent, and stuff like that, or a beast of the field, basically what it was before. And it's like, but they could talk. And then he closed their mouths after that. That was a part of their curse, too. So the fact that he could talk to animals, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but just and communicate and all that stuff, it's real. It's not something, and that's one thing that we need to understand, and you're bringing that back to it. So people have written stuff, they do stuff, but to me your book is not like any other book that's out there that's in, or any television, it's like the Bible, how it stands. It goes, what is the saying? It stands alone. It stands alone, and it's been throughout time. It's the number one, and there's no other book that can be compared to it.
Stands the test of time.
It stands the test of time. There you go. And it's so there's nothing that can be compared to it. It's very controversial. It's but your book, when you pull from the Bible and you're using that as an inspiration, that is. It of course has to follow that with that. So I think your book is a standalone for something that's outside of what any other genre that you see you've read. It's very creative.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I want to touch on two things you mentioned. You mentioned like Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
I've always felt like, and I've never read the book, but just watching the movie, is it C.S. Lewis? Is that his name?
Yes.
He wrote that book, and he said there's many Christian or biblical allegories within it, whether it be Aslan, is that the name of the big lion or whatnot. Yeah. But to me, whether it be Chronicles of Narnia or any other book that's supposed to have allegories, some even said The Matrix, films are supposed to have biblical allegories, especially what the ship was called Nebuchadnezzar. You know what I'm saying? The Matrix, you see the word matrix used in the scriptures to talk about being delivered, and you see the babies and children in those little capsules and all that stuff. But to me, a lot of times they water it down, by infusing it in with other ideologies. You know what I'm saying? But I did not want to do that with the Book of Anthony, but try to make it feel real, because the concept was to make the Book of Anthony feel like a lost book of the Bible. That's what I wanted it to feel like. So some of the things you guys are saying thus far is like, okay, that I'm hitting the nail on the head, because that's what I was going for. Another thing you mentioned Naphtali running upon the cornstalks, right?
Yes.
So that's in the book of Yasher. And for those, who aren't aware, the book of Yasher is a book that is confirmed in the scriptures, right? And I drew a lot of the book of Anthony from different stuff within the book of Yasher. Now, because there may be Christians or Orthodox Christians that may read this, if I was to put the book of Yasher, that may turn them off. So I didn't want to just introduce it, but I will. I'm going to in the books to come. But I wanted to throw in those elements, you know what I'm saying? Because it's in there and it's real, you know what I'm saying? So the book of Yasher definitely was a huge inspiration, because there's some stuff. If you go back and you read the book of Yasher and then you go and read the book of Anthony again, like, oh, I see what you did right there. Yeah, so I was definitely drawing a lot of elements from the book of Yasher. Okay, Gail, to you again. Second question, is there anything in media you would compare this story to?
No, only the Bible. And I was thinking that when you first asked Jonathan the question, that was the first thing that popped into my mind. And even you were saying about this C.S. Lewis with the Chronicles of Narnia and the Matrix. Aslan and Neo were likened unto a savior.
Yeah.
In there, and that's what kind of Anthony, he's there to help these children, come, be free from the different trials that they go throughout this book, and I'm very interested in what's coming. But, and just to see how it's going to come about, even, what they were saying about Anthony being likened unto that Moses, and Jared being like that Aaron, the brother, older brother, though, but Jared is younger, only 6 years old when the story begins, and everything. And by the time the story ends, it's a year gone by, so he's only 7. Jared, that is, and so these children are going through, I would say, becoming of spiritual minded people, even in this book. Anthony was told upon going down south to South Carolina with their family during the summer that like his cousin Renee was having her children read a book and do a report.
I think it's cousin Maxine.
Yeah, it might be cousin Maxine. Okay, sorry. And Anthony's mother took that on herself to say, okay, Anthony, you're going to do this as well,
To even introduce the Bible into his life.
Yeah, and he chose it. It wasn't his mother that's choosing it. It was his choice after going through Vacation Bible School and everything. And I like that that's the book that he chose to read, and he's learning, his family isn't a church-going family, but he's learning, through him choosing the Bible to read and, starting from Genesis. I think that whole choice is helping him to take his journey throughout the book from the very end, even with the angel being, I that part had me crying. There were several parts that had me laughing, but that part, it really hit me hard, being a spiritual person myself and everything, as we all are, because, we all love the Most High, and it's like just being in just having those personal spiritual experiences for yourself, and then reading about the powerfulness of this little girl showing up out of nowhere. You didn't see her nowhere in the book, and you don't know a name. You just
Girl with the cleft lip.
come in at this end of this story as it's really climaxing, and it's like I knew this is an angel this is an angel. I knew it. And then when she disappeared, I was like, I knew it.
Yeah.
And it just had me in tears. I mean, they may not have fallen, but they were there. They were swelling up in my eyes. And I just think that this is really a great book. And it doesn't remind me of anything that I've ever read or seen on TV. If anything, the only part is where Anthony is getting his hair combed by his mom, and he's saying, ouch. And it reminded me of it's a movie particularly, Love and Basketball, where Sanaa Lathan's character, even though it's not Sanaa at the time, it's, what's that little girl name?
What is her name?
Oh, Kyla Pratt.
Kyla Pratt's character was getting her combed by her older sister named Lena in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
And she was like, ow, Lena.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it reminded me of, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Crooklyn.
Crooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
That was with the hot comb.
Yeah.
But it's still the same thing.
But that's what Black people experience,
Exactly.
though. You know, we doing our hair, like you said, from a child. That's what we remember. You know, our hair like tender-headed and all this other stuff. So you can relate.
Especially when it's your first time.
Yeah.
Going through that.
Yeah.
And every time, depending on the type of hair you have,
Yeah.
because I can tell you someone that every time I combed her hair, it was a tough time.
Okay, we're gonna move on to question number 3. I'm gonna actually start with you and work back this way. Alright? So question number 3, Gail, how would you grade the book?
Oh my, I would grade it an A+.
A+?
I would give it an A+.
Okay.
And because I really like the book, I think your book is really good, and it just gets better as you read on. And towards the last 5-6 chapters, it gets even better, and it just pulls you in even more. And that's really, you know, where you want to be. The kind of book you want it to be.
And that's wonderful to hear, because one of the fears that I had in writing it was I thought it was too linear, if that makes sense. Like we move from one point to the next point. Like they start at home, in the school, in the mall, and it's like
I think
it's
that's what's so
boring or
good
something.
about it, though, because at home is at home,
Right.
you know, and they're all in Jamari and Akari's house, all of these babies and young girls and boys and Anthony, and they're all, I don't think anybody at that point was over the age of 12 or 13, just in Jamari and Akari's house and everything. And then you leave from there because of the destruction of the house, and you're going to the school, and now you have older kids, and then you have, you know, more diversity as well, because you got Josh and what's his brother's name? Axel there, and other kids I'm pretty sure that are not all just Black, you know, children in it that, you know, you're being introduced to. And then you have a different kind of hierarchy there, you know, the setup of things is different there. And then going to the mall is even a different you know, like that one was like, I really thought that one was gonna be, you know, kind of like a slavery thing. Not necessarily slavery, but hard, but it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was gonna be. But it was still a trial for them and a learning thing as well. And I think that that it's not linear. I think I think it just takes you up from each place, from the home to the school and then to this big mall. Not to mention the fact that the mall is built on a Indian sacred grounds. That was a problem. So I think that, you know, it's definitely escalating. It's not a book that's just linear.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Okay. Angelica? spoken to you, how would you grade the book? Now, I don't feel pressure because she said A+.
I know,
Give it
right?
whatever grade you feel you want to give it.
I will give it an A+ too. I would. I know that.
By the way, I'm not paying any of them. Statement. Okay.
No, I know that. I don't want to sound like, but I mean, I guess we've all read it in our own time, So it's you have different experiences with it, but even like she said and Jonathan said, the more you read it too, it just it gets better and better. Even the first part though, it was just like it puts you in there, like okay, let me keep reading this. What's going on? And to me, it's just I'm shocked that you were able to write that book. I know you're you're an intellectual and stuff like that, and the way you talk and stuff like that, you can hear it in your writing. Like I know Craig, this sounds like Craig. The way you be describing stuff and everything like that. So I could see how that makes you for a writer, but I was just so surprised that you could put it from pen, to paper, and like write it out and just be so detailed with it and just create something like that. Like you've written a book before. You've done books before. The Footloose, the Foot Race, the Foot Race, right? I still got it in my phone actually, but just that's a longer book. It's a longer, more detailed. It's one of those books. Certain authors can write stuff like that. Not everybody can write.
Yeah.
So I definitely would give it an A+, especially if this is your first book. Now I know it may have grammatical errors in it, but that stuff is easily fixed. It's just the premise of the book and the concept, the structure, right? All of that is like out of the park. It's really, really good. It's good, very imaginative, very creative, very inspired. But it's good and it's real life. It's real. Like, it's more spiritual, it's more natural, that the earth was made, everything that we see was made from things that we can't see. Mm-hmm. So imagine if, like, the donkey, or who was it on the donkey, and the donkey, then his eyes was open and he seen the angel. What's that in the Bible? Huh? Balaam, right. Mm-hmm. So imagine if our spiritual eye was open to see what was really here, that's not, that we can't see. I probably passed out dead. Yeah. I'm like, and then he's like, okay, you got to get you back up again. And it's been times too that they have died almost, like they got to pick it, like, here, let's get you back up. They was in the spiritual realm. So that's a scary thing. I'm glad that you wrote this and you didn't hold back, because we delve into the evil part of the spiritual concept. You know what I'm saying? And people are okay with that, but good. Exactly. Ways the evil, the light. Very well said. Especially when it comes to the Most High, because there's nothing more powerful than Him. So your book may be a standalone and you don't see a lot of it, but that's what you should do, because it says narrow is that road, but you get that, you put that in there, you keep writing those books or whatever, and you put it in there. And even if there's no other books out here that's like that and that's trying to teach it, that's okay, because the Most High will have control of that. We need that, because this is the real world. That is the real world that we're living in. It's not just the stuff that we see, and I think people need to be introduced to that. Mm-hmm. We really do. And not just the evil. I agree with you. Yeah. Because we're not used to that. Yeah. We're not used to the sea being divided. Yeah. And walking on water. Right. All those miracles. We're not. Yeah. Right. Wading in the water. Like, hey, the first person that get in there, you get healed. Yes. That was in Yahweh Shai's time. Mm-hmm. Like, an angel come and stir up the water. Mm-hmm. So do you really believe? Because that's real. It's not Christianity. It's not a religion. Mm-hmm. It's this real stuff that happened in the world before we were here. And it still happens. When something happens to your child or whatever, who you be praying to? Mm-hmm. Who you pray to? And they get healed. Mm-hmm. And it may not happen for everybody. Right. But people believe when it's really necessary, when you get in a tight, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So who do you be praying to that happen? And don't say it's just the universe. Because I never pray to the universe and something happens to me. I pray to the Most High. And then in Yahweh Shai's name, Jesus' name, back then. But still, he know who I was talking to. and I had things happen. So when stuff happens to you for real, and people who know who've lived life, when you got yourself in trouble, it may not have came and dealt with. It came right away, your help that you needed, but you were alive to see yourself over on the other side of that.
Yeah.
The issue, whatever it is that you were struggling with. So, in all of that, to answer your question, I would give it A+.
Very well said, everything that you said.
There's a lot of spiritual things you're going into. Brother Lee, question to you, how would you grade the book?
Well, I want to start off by saying that I agree with what Angelica was saying. It is a spiritual book, and I like how you put those elements in there as well. And how you put the truth in there, put truths in there, and you wasn't afraid to do that. You had courage to do that, despite the world that we live in, the society that we live in, where the truth that you put in there would be despised, or wouldn't be put, especially in a children's book, So to be able to put that in there takes courage, and I commend you for that.
Thank you.
For sure. But I hate to be the villain because
we talked about this.
Yeah.
You gave me a grade then.
Yeah. So I would have to give it I would say a solid B to a B plus.
Okay.
And my reasoning for that would be because in the beginning it was kind of slow, very meticulous though of you to you put a lot of detail into it, but it was just slow, and there wasn't a lot of excitement, a lot of it wasn't too entertaining for me to really keep me in. But of course I was reading it and I'm like, okay, Craig really, he knows how to write, and that's one thing that I was looking at too, seeing how detailed you were with everything that you were putting in it. And reading further into the book, I see why you did it that way. So, why it started off slow, and the way everything came together, with all the details. It's like, wow, he really knows how to write a book. He knows how to write a story, because it's like he knows to not give the audience too much in the beginning, but let it build up.
Yeah.
So I noticed that. I realized that, and at first I was like, but going further into the book, it all came together, and I was really impressed with that.
Yeah.
But I would give it a solid B to a B plus for that, and just because I don't want to give you too much. Keep me humble. I want to see what else you can do.
Okay, absolutely. And to your point, there are some foundations that had to set up for the story. So, and sometimes that's not always the most exciting, but you gotta get it in there. But it's best to kind of lay the foundation in the beginning, so that the reader know, okay, you taking me on this journey. You like, what's up with Anthony? Like, what's this all about? You give me the prologue. You're going through his history. What is this all about? You know what I'm saying? So I had to kind of set that foundation. But then it definitely, I think, starts to pick up once he runs away from the police, trips and falls, unconscious, and then the next chapter he wakes up in his bed again.
Right.
And then the adults are not there. So like, okay, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? So, but I appreciate everybody, giving your honest assessment of the book. All right, moving on to the next question. I'm gonna start with you, Gail, again. Do you have a favorite scene in the book?
A favorite scene.
Singular. Let's not choose 2, 3, 4, and 5.
It's a lot of them, but I'll go with the Downs, being in North Carolina. I'm South Carolina, and Anthony wanting so bad to see Leah before they leave, and she comes with the cake dish of Aunt Diane's, a pot that was Aunt Diane's, and Anthony was really excited, and they go out on the porch to finish their conversation that they didn't finish the night of the cookout. And was it the cookout or the fish? It was the cookout, I believe. The last night they had the cookout.
It actually, they began their conversation in the daytime when they were just in the field talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they were able to finally finish, because for the next few days he didn't see her.
Yeah.
So he finally got to see her.
Yeah, and finished that conversation, which it gave them a bond. Where they can see that we understand one another, especially with Leah letting him know, I've talked with my mom, my dad, a school psychologist or something, and none of them understood me, but you do, and you're dreaming the exact same thing that I'm dreaming and everything. And I just thought that was really cool. Then Anthony gets to take a picture of her and give her a picture of him, and his sister teasing him and watching it and everything, which is so relatable also, that an older sister would do something like that and everything. And I think that would be one of my favorite scenes that really stands out, but it's more.
Okay. Angelica, do you have a favorite scene in the book?
I honestly don't know if I have a favorite scene, because I remember so many different ones, and you said singular.
Yeah.
I know one thing that I remember is when Anthony was kind of mean to Jared, and I like that his sister rebuked him on it.
Okay.
I do. I like the fact that she kind of set him in his place again, but there's so many doggone scenes. That's not a good question.
Even going along with that, though, with the how mean he was to Jared, how he came around to see for himself how mean he was being for no reason. And once he started reading the Bible, and he goes to his mom and asks Mom, trying to make it like it's not him. But Mom, do you think that that person is wrong and that they should apologize? And then Anthony goes to Jared, especially after Jared sees the booger.
Well, that's later on. That happens later on.
Yeah, but it's the process.
Yes,
It's the process
of seeing his worth.
Yeah, and that he could have let him go in front of the guys.
Because if I might add to that, the booger scene, that happened immediately after they were getting ready to go to school.
Yeah.
It was the end of the summer, and he comes to say, "You guys ready for school?" And they clowning his shoes and make him cry and run home.
No, that was when Jared came to Jamari and Akari's house where he saw the shoes.
Yeah.
The booger was when Anthony was riding his bike to go play basketball with his friends, and Jared saw the booger on his, on his chin?
Yeah.
And Jared told him, and Anthony is like, he could have let me go on, but Anthony hadn't apologized to Jared yet at that point.
Yes, he had. Yes, he had.
Oh, I don't remember that, and I just read the book.
Well, you might be correct.
I think he hadn't apologized yet. That's what made him start thinking about Jared's worth, and being all that I've done to him, picking at him and pushing him away and being mean to him, and he could have let me go and be embarrassed and picked on by my older friends, and that wouldn't have been good. But he said something after all that I've done to him. He could have just let me go. And that's when he went to his mom and said, "Mom, do you and then Anthony
I'm thinking that it was like the beginning of the summer and end of the summer, but that was the same time. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. Was that all you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was just adding to what her scene was.
All right, so Jonathan, to you, same question. What is your favorite scene in the book?
I don't really have a favorite scene either, but I did like the scene where the bees were coming add Kendrick and his posse getting revenge and as the the bees. I forgot which one.
What was the name of the bee?
Tanya.
Tanya, who became friends with Anthony and was telling him, "I got you. I'm gonna take care of the situation." And he brought the whole crew out. They all handle business.
Yes.
So I like that scene, but I also, just listening to what they were saying, it made me also think about this scene. I know you said one, but it made me think about this scene where the covenant,
The Ark of the Covenant.
the Ark of the Covenant started to rattle and it was moving and it opened up and then you heard the voice of God come out from it. I don't know if it was an angel or if it was the voice of God, but it was letting the children know, look, I chose Anthony, and I want him to anoint Jared and Jamari and Akari and Jasmine, and I thought that was a real powerful scene, you know.
Very powerful, especially because it goes with what it relates to the Bible when when the Most High had to let it be known
Like I chose
Moses
Right.
when they were coming against Moses, to say, why can't it be us? We just as good,
He talked to us too. But isn't that just like people though? Like that's like their jealousy thing and wanting to be more instead of just like he deal with you too, but this is who I chose. This is what I want. I have a special mission or whatever I have for him to accomplish, and I want you to follow him. This is what I'm ordaining this, orchestrating that.
Yeah.
So out of all those kids, the teenagers and stuff, he chose the younger ones.
Yes.
Out of all of it was like 4,000 altogether at the moment. A lot of kids, and he chose.
And many of them were older than him because Anthony was only 11 at that time. So
The kingdom of heaven is like what?
Like unto children.
So.
And then Kendrick tried to be demanding. Who is this?
Right. And actually they helping y'all out, you know what I'm saying?
But that I guess the spirit of God blew him back. Like, I'm not talking to you. Where's Anthony? Let's move on. Let's see. I will start with you, Jonathan. Was there any part of Anthony's or his friend's adventure that you resonated with, that you feel like you connected with, you resonated with?
Can you say that again?
Was there any part of Anthony's or his friend's adventure that you resonated with? That you could relate to?
I like how I don't know if Anthony was with Jamari and Akari when they found the baby. Was he not with them?
Yes.
He was, okay. So I like that scene where they found the little child, and Anthony seemed to notice something was special about that baby. Instead of just leaving the child where it was, they took the child with them, and Anthony noticed something was special about that child. I like how Anthony felt sympathy, for the child and wanted to bring the child along instead of just leaving it there, I think that was a special scene, and I think that was a special part in the book.
Okay.
And I guess I could say, because of me being how I am, like I try to be,
I was trying to see the connection.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna bring it together for you. I try to be compassionate and considerate, to others and how they feel, and I try to think for others as well. So, just to see.
You mean think for or think about?
Think for others. Like when I say think for others, I mean like when I'm having a conversation with somebody and I try to be careful about what I'm saying, because it's like I don't know how it would come off to someone. So I don't know how someone could take it. So, you know, I try to think about what I say and how it can affect somebody else. You know, what they would think about what I'm saying, you know, or, you know, something like that. So, because of who I am, I try to be considerate and compassionate. I thought about that scene and it made me think about myself.
Okay. Very good. Angelica, same question to you. Is there any part of Anthony or his friend's adventure that you resonated with?
Yeah. I say so many. Oh my goodness. The hair scene definitely in the beginning, because I'm tender-headed. That was the first thing. That's what grabbed me to the book. Really reading that, and just the descriptiveness of it. It was just so relatable. With his sisters and stuff like that. Just the interaction with his family, going down south. There's just so many scenes because it reminds me of some of the names, like Stink and stuff like that. It just reminds me of my childhood going, the chicken, my mom, she would fry chicken and we would have it, and it would have that taste. It's like that taste when you're going down south on the road trip, and that cooler, it's like there's so many things that I guess did, but I like Jonathan's example. He got some good stuff he's saying over here, but I don't know. I guess the whole book does to me, I guess. Because it just...
They don't count. The whole book resonates with you.
It does, though.
But what you're saying about going down south and stuff like that.
Yeah, is it? Okay, then I can leave it at that. But no, it really does, though. The book does, because if there's not... It's a point in everything in your life, like we just growing up that you had to deal with stuff that happened. Like with the older kids doing what they did. Like you said, with babies. Even me having a child now, I'd have been like, shut them babies up before I had children. But now it's like, I was thinking in the book, okay, well, what happened to the babies? And who's taking care of them? Are they being taken care of well? It's like, I'm so sensitive now when it comes to babies. It's like, not the babies. So it's like, you just want the babies to be okay. And I love the fact that they cared for them in the house with dealing with the mold and stuff like that. I love that these kids were so attentive to the babies. That's why I say, like, the whole book does. There's something in it at every point that makes me, like, that just resonates with me. That, and I can relate to, because of just life, But definitely them trips down south and that hair. When he said that, I remember that was not fun, man. Not cool, so
I thought that part that Angelica said with the chicken, I can relate to that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to be like that too. Trying to savor the chicken.
Yes.
Eating the crumbs
Yes.
and the crunchy parts, and just trying to eat all that. So I thought that was relatable too.
You're right, because you can smell it. I was reading it, I could literally. Cognitive, like really learn conditioning. I went back in time and remembered those trips, smelling the chicken, the way it tasted. For some reason, it always has a different taste to it, but it tastes so good. And I don't like chicken. Okay, I don't eat chicken with bones. I don't like it. But for some reason, that chicken, I still wanted just to give me the skin or something. I wanted to
Maybe
eat
I
it.
have to say to you what Imani said to Anthony when he didn't take the hot sauce. Maybe you ain't black.
And I've heard that all my life too. That's another thing. It's like, oh, you don't like chicken? You ain't black.
And that's a part of our culture too.
Right.
Like tease one another and stuff like that.
But I loved it. It's just so many that point, and it just made me think about it. It's like I can smell it. You like he said, you're so descriptive with stuff in the beginning. The way you did it and brought it out, and it brings you back. It makes you go back in time. It was very nostalgic, very nostalgic, very, very nostalgic. I loved my childhood. I know a lot of stuff happened, but I loved my childhood. I really did. And I was thankful for all the experiences that I had. So your book really just brought me back in time.
Not to mention it takes place in 2003. So
I know, right? But that was like in the 90s, early 90s when I so like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you, same question. Was there any part of Anthony's or his friend's adventure that you resonated with?
Yeah, but I wanted to kind of add on to the chicken experience because I remember too being a little girl, young girl, and my father traveling and stepmother traveling to North Carolina for the summer vacations and having chicken and a loaf of bread that you can have your chicken with the hot sauce and of course sandwiches, other sandwiches, and the soda and the cooler and everything definitely resonated with that and what they were saying with the chicken and how that smell and taste is. For some reason on the road it always just tasted better and everything, and a slice of cake afterwards or whatever, you know, but also what I was going to really say, what resonated with me was Anthony's dreaming. Because I have dreams, and when I first was reading about Anthony's dreaming, and then the first ones, you know, that is coming to pass and everything, or you know, it's like something happening, you know, later on that, oh, I dreamed about this, you know, not to mention his Polaroid camera that cousin Leroy gave him, that he's snapping pictures and the pictures are something that's gonna happen and everything, you know, that I had a Polaroid camera, of course, however it took what I took, what I was, you know, but just the dreams, it's relatable to me, and because I have had dreams throughout my life that they've come true. And I've been in instances where I said, I dreamed this, you know, and like now I know what it means, you know what that dream meant, or sometimes I may get an interpretation. So the Bible is true because the Most High uses his prophets and prophetesses as seers and shows his people what may come to pass or what is going to come to pass, and that's what your book is really all about.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah.
I can relate to that too. I be having dreams sometimes too. Probably not on a, well, for sure not on the level that she does, but you know, I can definitely relate to that. You know.
I think a lot of people will be able to too, because I've heard other people have conversations that are not, they didn't grow up maybe in the same household, but they had dreams or had different experiences. Like with Anthony, when he was about to, he seen a boy in the dream, but he didn't know it was him. That was gonna, if he, was it the tree that was gonna fall on him?
The tree was rocking.
Right.
The boy was wearing orange.
Yeah, and he saw it, and I'm like, oh snaps! And that reminded me even of a story that my husband told me, Dwayne. His grandfather was dying, and he how he knew his grandfather had died. He was at his mother's house. He was on the couch sleeping, and he felt something touch him. He was like, ah, he felt it, like it touched him, and it woke him up because it felt weird.
I bet it burned.
Yeah, and he felt that, and he was like, he saw his grandfather, like a silhouette of his grandfather, and he was like, he was coming to say bye to him, and it was like, it was so weird the way he explained it. I'm like, yo, like that reminded me of stuff that my mom, she's telling me she went through when she was having this one, after she had him in the hospital, and John was in the hospital. So, and I've heard other people talk about stories like that too. Your book is, because of the fact that it's real life and the stuff that happened in the Bible is real and it does happen to people, I can see people, and even the experience of going down south and stuff like that. That's what we did back in the days.
Mhm.
That's how we did it. It would bring that back to people, and I think people will be able to relate to that. That was a very good point, though, that they brought up, because it's like, this stuff is real life, you know, and people sometimes they can't explain it, you know, but it's like it happens.
They just call it a premonition.
Right.
You know, to visions or dreams.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Still have a few more, so I'm trying to move through it quickly. Seem like we've probably been on the camera for a bit. To Jonathan, next question. Do you have a favorite character in the book?
My favorite character
Singular.
would have to be Jared.
Jared.
Yeah, because I like how he was the one who no one really cared for. Got picked on, you know, and then later on he became to be one of the most important characters of the book. He was a good friend to Anthony, despite how Anthony was treating him in the beginning. You know, didn't want to be bothered with him, didn't want to
file.
didn't want to hang out with him, didn't want him playing with his toys when he came over. No, nothing.
And
you know.
then played him and said, "Yo, you can come over tomorrow."
Right. You know he's gonna be out of town.
Yeah, right. You know, did him dirty. And yet still Jared was still trying to be a good friend, you know. And I like how the Most High used him, you know, knowing that they were going to go through things together, him and Anthony. And Jared could, the Most High blessed him with the ability to be able to read minds, which was amazing.
It was so amazing.
Yeah.
I love that, and because Jared is my favorite one too, so I can answer it along with Jonathan. That's who I was gonna say too. I already told Craig that too. He was my favorite character. I love that he could read minds. I loved his loyalty.
Yes.
No matter what, he was loyal. He was faithful, and even when Anthony felt insecure or whatever, Jared was like, you know, that person that would say,
Support system. You know?
yeah, that support, push you on. You know, we need you. You can do this and everything. I love Jared, and the thing is, he was the youngest
Out of all of them.
out of the boys,
and the
that-
most wise. And he was the only one out of all of
I know.
to pass that
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the mall.
Yes.
Regulator.
Yeah.
Regulators.
Yeah.
6 years
Anthony
old.
was upset because he wanted that, but Jared got it. 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Jared.
Yeah.
So
I-
he was definitely. I'm sorry.
Nah,
So
go on. That's
she
good.
took my shine.
No, I was trying to help build your shine. Because I'm
polishing your
yeah, because I'm like
Wax
fan
on,
of
wax
Jared
off.
too.
Yeah.
I love Jared. I
Yeah,
just
Jared.
thought he was sweet.
Yeah, he really was though. He was my favorite character.
Especially even the way he was ready to help Anthony. Like, you like my cousin?
Uh-huh.
You know, because,
Yeah.
oh, I heard you though, Anthony. I heard you.
Mhm.
You know, but Anthony wasn't
Nah, I
getting
ain't say
it.
that. I just got my game there, and I want to call and see if she got my game. That's all.
You don't even want to read this book again.
So, Angelica, who was your favorite character?
I'm gonna say this. I know it's only one, but whenever Jared, Jamari, and Kari was not in the scene, I missed them.
Okay.
I did. I missed, and I would say, I'm like, when are they coming back?
Mhm.
That's a good book too, because you're saying, you know, those characters are very crucial. Anthony.
Anthony?
Yes, he reminds me kind of a lot about myself, because I was a very, and I can still be, very mean little child. You know, I was very, you know, and so I went through stuff. I remember when I was in second grade, kindergarten, first and second grade, and we used to, this girl named Aisha, she would be the ringleader, her and Charmaine. And whenever she was mad at the group of girls, all the group of girls were mad at that one girl. So you could be singled out, and then so you wouldn't be on Aisha's bad side, you would pick on everybody else up in there. You would pick on the person they were mad at. And then I had finally got to a point, because I grew up in a home, hearing music and reading the Bible. It wasn't just talked about. It was real. It was talked about, but it was real action put into it. And I got tired of them picking on it because they wouldn't talk to you for weeks too. We would not talk to you for weeks, and you would be alone, and you would have to talk to the boys or whatever. And I got tired of it. And they were picking on this girl named Marquita, and we would talk about her because she had boogers in her nose and stuff like that. So we would, oh, she's digging up her nose, she got big booger fingers and stuff. African booty scratchers, y'all know about that?
African booty scratchers.
So we would do that, and I remember I finally got tired of it, and something was like, I don't care anymore. I said, I don't care if y'all don't like me. I don't care if y'all talk to me. And I started talking to the one that people would be picked on, the underdog. And I was like, I'm going to be friends with her, Marquita, the one that we would pick on, because I was bad. I mean, I lied about different stuff, and I was picking on her, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And then after that, it kind of dissembled all of that stuff that we had, the little clique thing. It shut it down, because I said, I'm not doing it no more. I said, I don't care if y'all mad at me.
So your courage and strength probably secretly gave those other girls the strength to say,
Yes.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and
She doesn't deserve it.
yeah, because we went to kindergarten, and Aisha was my friend in kindergarten and first grade, but people always flocked around her. She was the main ringleader, and she was mad at you. Everybody was like, and it was so happy. So I learned at an early age not to be a bully, how to be a bully, and then not to be a bully. I really did. So Anthony kind of reminds me a lot of like myself. When I was reading it, it bring it back to me, you know, like my childhood and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't like bullies, you know. So it's a good lesson to learn as a child how to not pick on people and how not to just single them out because the group majority is doing it.
Yeah. I want to ask something real quick based off of the question I just asked. And you don't have to expound, but do you think that Anthony was a likable character?
I liked Anthony.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that you
I thought it was
didn't.
likable.
Okay.
I know you didn't really want him to be likable.
It's not that I did not want him to be likable. I did not want him to be a goody two shoes.
Yeah.
And if he became somewhat unlikable, I'll take it, because I just didn't want him like the trope of a Harry Potter or protagonist where they're the hero and you just, I didn't want that. I want him to be flawed.
Well, he was.
You know, he to have flaw. He's a child, obviously, but
Right.
to not be a sweet little kind child the way Jared is. I wanted him to be flawed.
Right.
I thought he was like
He's
the
like-
average.
Yeah.
He lied.
Yeah.
He didn't steal, but he did some stuff. What like trying to hide his
His
grade and everything.
naughtiness.
Yes, he was a naughty child.
Yeah.
He was naughty.
And then got mad and then run away from home and then you bump your head and know why is this happening to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Right.
And it reminds me of me because I used to do that stuff and stuff. I mean, yeah, I was so, the reason why, because I was mean to Marquita, I couldn't go on the China buffet thing. And they gave me the money back and told me to give it back. And I did. No, I didn't. I spent it at a store. And I went home and mommy asked me how was the thing. I'm like, oh, we ate this and ate that. It was crazy. I didn't even know what to say. Everything was there. And then she found a letter because I hid it on the back of my dresser or something stupid. I left the letter and she found out about it and I had to get a whooping after that. But it was like a couple of weeks later and she said, what did you do with my money? And I had spent it at the store. So so that reminds me a lot of you.
But the relationship between Anthony and Jared is a direct correlation between relationship I had with a friend of mine, a childhood friend named Jared. And so
I figured that too.
yeah, so I definitely pull from our own experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when the real life Jared Lathrop, hey Jared, you know what I'm saying, back on Myrtle Hill Park, he lived next door to me. He came around, he was younger than I was, but he was older than some of my other siblings. And we would hang out rather, and I don't know, for whatever reason, just like kind of the way Anthony felt about Jared, it's just like, he got on my nerves, like, and I kind of used him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had the PS2, he had some of the stuff, so I would use it, and he was, just wanting to kind of be in my company, so I'd take advantage of that. But, like, when I'm tired of you, get lost, beat it. You know what I'm saying? And I treated him really bad. And, we see in the book that Breon checked her little brother and said, stop being mean to your friend.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call him up here. No, sit away. No, Jared, come on upstairs. He's right in here.
Yeah.
It was my mother that had that impact on me, and she checked me and said, "You're gonna go and apologize to him."
Oh, good.
You know what I'm saying? Because I see the way you treat that young boy. You need to stop it. And you know, I wasn't threatened with a whooping. At least I don't believe I was. But it really, it hit me. It's like, you know what? Just like Anthony, like, hey, I am being mean to him for no reason.
Yeah.
And so, just like Anthony said, you know, I'm gonna go and apologize, and I'm gonna give him a little piece off and give him one of my comic books.
Yeah.
I did the very same thing. I saw Jared some day after my mom reprimanded me, and I said, Jared, you know what? I apologize, you know, for calling you names and stuff. I would talk about his ear, the way it was shaped. I was bad, but I was clowning him. I said, man, I apologize and that, and you know, I want to be friends with you, you know, and be sincere and all of that. He's like, oh, right. And it's funny because his spirit was just like Jared's, like, oh, I ain't worried about that. Yo, my mom about to take us to Darien Lake. You want to come? I'm like, yo, is this the benefit of being nice? That's like to go to Darien Lake. You know what I'm saying? So
Did you
like,
go?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so good.
yeah. So that was, to me, that was like my own childhood version of understanding the rewards of doing good. Like you did it and you got blessed with the reward of going to Darien Lake. You know what I'm saying? Because if you maybe would have shunned him, you wouldn't have went. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was directly correlated to my own personal experience. Okay, let's move on. Let's see. We'll keep this kind of quick. I don't want you to expound because I don't know how much time I have on the battery. Start with you, Gail. How interested are you in reading a sequel rated between 1 and 10?
10.
10. Okay. Angelica, same question.
10, 11, 12.
10, 11, 12. Okay. Jonathan?
I would say 10.
10? Okay. Very good. Last question on this here. I'll start with you, Jonathan. And this is my own personal question because you know who I'm chasing. You know who I'm chasing. I'm chasing that woman up on that mountain. You know what I'm saying? I'm chasing her. You know, I'm trying to climb Mount Olympus and get to her. So this is a good question. How does the Book of Anthony stack up to Harry Potter? I know you gave your review before, but I would like to hear it again.
Well, I would say you got a ways to go because she definitely put a lot of work into Harry Potter. She came out with how many? 7. Seven books of Harry Potter. So you got a ways to go.
I'll say this then, because I know it's not a series. It will be a series, but it's only a book. So how would you compare Sorcerer's Stone to the first book of Anthony?
I would have to say they're both in their own lanes.
Okay.
You know, because we're talking about wizardry and witchcraft on one end, and then we're talking about the Bible on the other end. Even though all of that is in the Bible as well, for sure. But yeah, I would just have to say they're in their own lanes.
Okay.
And you know, I'm definitely, like I said, I give it a 10 because I'm curious to know what's gonna happen next. And I want to see how you're going to try to catch up to that or get to that mountaintop because Harry Potter, I love Harry Potter, I really do. So, and I think your book is really good. And I want to know, I think the way you ended it was very, very interesting.
It sure was.
And I want to see what's going to happen next. So I'm going to just leave it there.
Okay. That's fair. That is fair. That is fair. Angelica, how does the Book of Anthony stack up to Harry Potter? And we'll just focus on the first book, Sorcerer's Stone.
I would, like he said, and I've said to you before, it's a standalone. You know, it's just a different type of book, you know, than Harry Potter. And again, too, you don't have I know you said, you know, but you still have more to keep going with, you know. I do like how you ended it. It was very adventurous, like Harry Potter is, you know, a lot going on, but it's in its own lane, like he said. You got your own lane going on. It's a different type of writing style too. And again, like he said too, you got wizardry and sorcery on one side, and then this one, like in Moses, you know, they had that in Egypt, And then on the other side too, you have what the Most High can do.
Yeah, power of God.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He don't need no help. And then on top of that, nothing could trump what he was doing after a certain point. They couldn't mimic what he was doing after a certain point. So I would say it'll be on its own lane, and we'll just have to see what happens going further. But it drew me in. You know, it was a page turner. I wanted to keep going. I was scared at certain points too, especially when that snake came up. Oh, it's so many times I was scared and stuff like you don't know what's gonna happen here. Like, is somebody about to die and stuff like that? It was
With
so
the
like,
monkeys.
yeah, the monkey man. Yeah, them things was. Oh my gosh, and the shield they can't. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's a lot to it. So I think you have your own. It's your own thing, and not to chase after that. Yeah, you want it to be on that maybe a type of level, even better. You know, with your writing and all that type of stuff. But you definitely have your own thing going. Yeah.
So instead of a wand, you got Anthony's staff.
Yes, you got all that stuff going on, but it's not to be. Again, it doesn't seem like a Harry Potter. You know what I'm saying? I know it has it's a creativity in that type of sense, you know, but it's just, you know, it's you in your own, you know, you're in your own lane.
Okay. Gail, to you, how does the book of Anthony stack up to Harry Potter?
I agree with them where that is concerned as well, because Harry Potter has its own elements that were so new and original and just really just so good. Like when they were in the train station, and that was it 9.5 or 10?
9 3/4.
9 3/4. When you see that and going through the wall, that was so original and unique.
Yeah.
And in the book, reading the book for the first time, the uncle seeing all of these people that he knew were witches and warlocks or whatever, wizards or whatever you want to call them. Everywhere he went when he was driving to work that day and everything, you know, which was intriguing, and everything. But for me, because I do not like all of the witchcraft, I don't like, I know it's in the second book with the snake, the chanting.
Yeah,
I didn't like that. Because as
it's dark.
a believer in spiritual in the Most High in the Bible, I didn't like that.
Yeah, and who knows who you're talking to and
Yeah, and what kind of spirits are
Bring it
coming
to you.
at you.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. Whereas the Book of Anthony is different. So where you say you're chasing it, I say you're joining. Maybe could be up on that mountain if they give you a chance to, if they, and it's the Most High opening that door for you to walk through and climb that mountain and join her on that mountain. And it could be even to me on a higher level, because this is about the Most High. This is about the book of God, the creator of everything, the creator of the cognitive processes that give you the ability to be able to put pen to paper to get that down there. So that's what I would say, that, you know, yours is in a plane by itself, not where, you know, it'll be like a husband and wife up there, you know what I'm saying? You know.
I don't know what you're saying. Not at all.
But like, you know, you and her wouldn't be sharing the same mountain, and she have her throne on one side of it, and you have your
you
throne.
got your own peak over there.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
higher,
but and it could be higher, because I don't really know yet, but to me, the one thing that I told you, and you sharing, if you don't mind me saying this, and you sharing your process, I told you that if you write this book any way that you teach the Word of God, this book is going to be great. I told you
Yes.
that several times throughout. And just from the first book, and you saying it's going even deeper with the next one, and a third, and a fourth, and the extensions from the other characters, I think that you could definitely go higher than J.K. Rowling's, because to me the wickedness of wizardry and exposing our children in every bookstore, 5 and below, wherever the books, do you have kids, you have a generation of kids that want to delve into wizardry, and you got more and more that I've never heard of before, black girls or women talking about their witches. I think that's wicked. I don't like it.
Do you think J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter?
I think
that has a lot to do with
I
it?
think that she is a progenitor, if I can say, to a lot of that. Even in the, I hate to say this, but the show that you went to go see, where they were showing the movie, the Philharmonics, harmonica show that you went to see, and even though isn't it
Rochester Philharmonic
yeah,
Orchestra.
harmonic orchestra, yes. I know you enjoyed it because I know how much you enjoy and like or love Harry Potter. But for adults and children to be going to it dressed as wizards and witches or whatever, I think that is creating more of this generation of people to want to not just experience that, but to be that. And I don't like that.
And that's spiritual too, because all that stuff that is happening, the fact that there's like Yahushua, he went through walls. He went through stuff, and we'll be able to do that. And then he's dying, and things is coming up and stuff like that. All that's why I would say that the Bible, when you look at the books, that people get that stuff from the book. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that happening, because it's all that stuff is written in there, all of it. It's been inspired by. People have their books inspired by that.
And we know that there were sorcerers in the
Mhm.
Bible, but what did the Most High say about them sorcerers?
Right.
Death to them.
Yeah.
Get them out of, the children. They can't be amongst the children of Israel. Put that away, or you go away, or
And then it spooked them out in Babylon with the wall, the hand, right in
Oh yes.
just coming up, and it's right, like, could somebody
mhm.
get interpreted? But that lets you know that stuff, they were used to still seeing certain things, like, can I get an interpret? Somebody come and show me what this is, and then having dreams about it, he wanted to have an interpreter for that with Daniel, to interpret dreams. It's more real, so please just don't be afraid to do what you gotta do.
And I want to add on to that too, what she was just saying, like, because of the times that we live in, be inspired, because a lot of us are waking up to the truth,
Right.
Mhm.
And that's becoming more of a thing throughout, I guess you could say, Israel or Judah, us being Judah here in America, the so-called Judah here in America, or being the so-called black African Americans. We're waking up to who we really are,
Mhm.
knowing the truth. So because of that, I would say be inspired and don't be afraid to go further. And I think into the story of your book, I think that you will go far just because of that, because of the times that we live in.
Mhm.
Where people are starting to being uplifted, or feeling like, you know what, yeah, I'm an Israelite. They're starting to take pride in that. They're starting to feel good about saying, I have an identity. I'm someone. The Bible is about me. That's my history book. Those are my peoples in that book. So because of that, it's like we're gaining culture. And that book right there is like, that'd be it's a good book to what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a launching pad.
Oh,
to
yeah, exactly. So,
facilitate the awakening.
yeah,
Because like I said before, one of the main premises is to, tell the world we're the children of Israel without actually saying we're the children of Israel. And hopefully, that it kind of said that, but definitely as we go into part 2, we gonna go deep. You know what I'm
they
saying?
gonna
And the
want
more-
to look at it.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And the more that we wake up, the more we're gonna want stories like that. We're gonna want entertainment for us, not watching what white people in America has, like the wish and witchcraft and stuff. We want our own stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that'd be a great book to be able for the kids, especially to read. And the young adults to be able to read, and whoever, So
Yeah.
stay inspired.
Thank you. That's it for the question part segment. Now I'm gonna just take a moment if any of you have a question for me or just a comment you want to make. We're gonna do that, and then after that we're gonna do a short little trivia, and then we'll be finished. Okay? So Gail, I'll start with you. Do you have a question for me as the author, or do you have a comment you would like to make?
Well, I would just like to ask you a question, like, if you can you give us a little bit on where you're going with your next story?
Yeah.
Book, with your next book.
All right. So, I know you've been asking Angelica if I've been writing. I haven't had a chance to, but I really hope to start doing that. But I've been collecting thoughts. Part 2 will be, at least what I envision for it right now, is that we're going to incorporate a lot of prophecy, especially drawn from the book of Revelation and the 7 kingdoms and 10 kings that reign over those 7 kingdoms. We're going to have that. Anthony and his companions will be older. And what I would like to do is, as we're beginning part 2, we're going to be starting with Anthony around 15. So he's 11 at the end of the first book. We're going to start with 15. We're going to bring you through some of the adventure at 15. The children are in bondage. So spoiler, those aren't adults on those buses that meet them at the very end of the story. Those are other teenagers that are going to take them and bring them into a detention camp and then begin to sell them off to different cities and states. And those 7 kingdoms are warring, these 7 towns or cities or whatever kingdoms are warring against one another. And it's still not confirmed and in my head, but just kind of what I'm going for. And it's going to start off with him being 15, telling some of the story, and then once we get to a certain point, we're going to jump back and tell that story, and then infusing prophecy in it, in between. And it's all going to climax to the Exodus. The Exodus will begin, the way I see it in my head, there will be a massive earthquake that will shake the earth, right? Which will give Anthony and his companions leeway to escape, because there's going to be a great abyss from where Anthony and his companions are, and the council, this evil council of teenagers that want to in bondage them again, like a pharaoh and his army. So through that, they will seek the Sky Kingdom and the Boy King. Okay, and so that's gonna, so that's going into the third book, and then once we get to a certain point, Anthony will be thrust out of this dream state, if you will, and return back to his 11-year-old self, being 15 or 16 at the end of that 3rd or 4th book. We'll go back into, so I'm just giving y'all kind of the story arc. Once he goes back, he's going to have to get reacclimated to his life as an 11-year-old boy, because he just lived 5 years in a dream state. Somebody's calling. Can we hold on? Okay. So he just lived 5 years and so he's having to get acclimated. But then there comes a point when the giants and some of the elements that are in the dream state start to make their way into the real world. And so him and his father, who is Al the Great, have to team up and get back into the dream state to fight a war against the council and the giants. And that's kind of the climax to end the book.
How many books?
I'm not sure. At the very least 4, but probably 5 or 6. I'm not really sure, but maybe 4. And then I mentioned I want to do some branch off books, going to Breon's, world, going to Taniel, the Beat, And another big part that I didn't really mention, somebody trying to get in.
That's the emerald.
There's going to be a lot to do with the animal kingdom. Okay, so where there's a war among the children, there's a war among the animals too. And Anthony, because he can speak to animals, and the oracles that receive those stones, they play a part as an ambassador of the animals to help bring harmony and unity according to the prophecy that God said unto Anthony and what King Tomo said according to his prediction. So all of those things that are established in the first book are laying the foundation for this greater adventure, because this is only in Silver City. It's going to branch out to the country and eventually to the world. Okay? Or even beyond this world, because the Sky Kingdom is not of this world. It is kind of a representation of heaven, the king of paradise. You know, it's not in this earth. So yeah, it's definitely going much further. And so what I just laid out to you is just what's been in my head for about 6 months to a year. You know, but nothing is etched in stone, and I'm just gonna feel my way through it. But definitely, that's where we're going with it. You know.
Okay.
Did you have a question or comment?
What inspired you to write that? Like, what inspired you to write, to get to where you are now, and to first to initiate it, but like really what inspired you to get there? How did that come into your mind?
Okay. Well, it has to come in stages, because writing the Book of Anthony started 12 years ago, back in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And when I first wrote it, it was called Planet Earth. And then eventually became Vanished. And it was simply a story of the children being left alone in the earth, and all the grown-ups disappeared. I wrote a few chapters, and I was trying to send it out to literary agents, but nobody was getting back to me. And I really wasn't that thrilled with it. I thought it was decent, but it wasn't a finished book, and it didn't have a ton of intrigue to it. So that was around 2016 when I kind of left it there and I didn't do anything with it. 2023, I'm with Pam Transport, the tractor trailer company, and I'm driving in a truck. I'm the passenger. My trainer, he's driving the truck. It's at nighttime, and we Michigan somewhere. We driving cross country, and I'm actually working on a lesson. So I have my phone, and I'm putting some stuff together. And before I actually got on the truck with him that week to drive, I was here at home, had some idle time, and I said, you know, I know ultimately I don't want to drive trucks for the rest of my life, but I got to do what I got to do now. But maybe let's see if I can creatively, take one of these stories and do something with it. And I thought of Vanish, that's what it was called at the time. And I said, let me see if I can finish this book, bro. I only did like a few chapters. Let me see if I can do something with it. And so I had it out. I had my notebook, and I was like, seeing if I could maybe finish it. And so it was in the back of my mind. So it wasn't like it was completely shelved. I was taking it back out, blowing the dust off, and see if I could do something with it. So I'm on the road in the middle of the night. He's driving, and I'm on my phone, and I'm doing something, and it hits me. And I remember J.K. talking about it, where she was inspired on a delayed train. But it hit me like lightning. I saw it in my head like a cinematic scene where I saw a young black boy in like rags and a staff leading thousands of children through the wilderness. And I said, that's it. That's what I got to do with my book. Take Vanish. So I took what I had, took that vision, and fused it together. And as I came back, this ideas just kept pouring in. The Most High kept depositing thoughts, and I was telling you, and it kept growing and growing. I was like, yo, I gotta add that in there. And it just kept growing and so whereas the book was this little mustard seed of an idea, it grew and grew and grew and grew. And so what I'm sharing with you now and telling you how I envision the story, like that just kept growing off of that, like the donut in the book. In the juice box, it just kept growing, the pillow craft, and that's how it came to be. So it really was that night where it went from just being a simple little story, I'm not that excited with it, I need to see if I can do something with it, till it became, this it. Yeah. This is it. And I told you, John Finnan, and I stick by it, if I do this right, it's going to be better than everybody. That's my belief. That's my belief. What's the difference between someone that's delusional and a genius? Hard work. Hard work. Because a delusional person will say, yeah, I want to do this and do that, but don't apply no work to it, so you'll still remain delusional. You're delusional. But the person who's viewed as delusional, when they put that hard work in, they'll accomplish their vision and be viewed as a genius. You know what I'm saying? So that's my goal and that's my aim. If that answers your question.
It does.
Jonathan, did you have a question or comment?
I think my question was pretty much what Angelica asked, but because you did say you want to be bigger than Harry Potter or be up there with Harry Potter, I want to ask you why Harry Potter? Why, what's her name?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
Because she's the gold standard. She's the gold standard. If I had to say one of my favorite authors altogether, Ronald Dahl. I enjoy his book, Witches. I was moved as a fourth grader when the student assistant teacher or whatever read it. I was scared when I first heard Witches, as well as Matilda and James and the Giant Peach. He did all them books. Ronald Dahl. Huh?
It's not Ronald, it's Roald. It's R-O-A-L-D, Roald.
Ronald Dahl. You know what I'm saying? He is definitely a GOAT. You know, Dr. Seuss. You know, and Mark Brown, because I love the Arthur books. You know, but when we're talking about middle grade chapter books, J.K. is the gold standard. At least modern time, she is the gold standard. We got Suzanne Collins. We got all types of different people. It's weird. None of y'all mentioned Lord of the Flies in comparison.
I did.
Okay, but that has its place.
Yeah.
But we know J.K. is the gold standard. The gold standard. All right, so. Think about it this way: when we come, if you're a basketball player and you come into the league and you want to be the best, you don't say I want to be just better than Vince Carter. It's Vince Carter, one of the greats, yeah, but he's not the pinnacle. You want to be better than Jordan. You want to be better than LeBron. You want to be better than Kobe. Those that are anointed as the best, the gold standard. J.K. Rowling is the gold standard. You know what I'm saying? She is the gold standard. So that's who you know what I'm saying, I want to seek to surpass. You know what I'm saying? That's the goal. If you go into anything, you don't want to be mediocre. You want to be the best. You want to be the best in music. You don't want to be mediocre. You want to be the best. But before you get to that point, there has to be somebody you can model or emulate in some way. Who can I look at and see that has done that? Maybe in some cases there's a certain lane you have and say, there is nobody there. So then I'm going to create a niche. So I know that my story isn't going to be like Harry Potter, so there's a niche that I can create. But before I can quite get there, I got to look at who's ahead of me. I'm not established. It's not published. You know what I'm saying? But in order to get that, I got to look who's the best among all of you. And she's the one on that mountaintop.
Very well said.
You know, she's the one on that mountaintop. And I'm chasing. And if the Most High allowed me to get there, I'm going to keep pushing it forward. Because I don't want to just be better than J.K. Rowling or have my story be better than Harry Potter. I want to go down as the greatest children's author of all time. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm finished with this series, I got about a half dozen more in my head that the Most High, if he allows, I will write. You know what I'm saying? I got plays I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? I got shows that I want to do. I got a whole bunch of different stuff that I would love to do. You know what I'm saying? But I'm starting with this now. If that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, let's do a little trivia, and we will be finished. All right. Let's see. Trivia question: which team would you have rather been on, the Razor Sharks or the League of Cool Kids? I'll start with you, Jonathan. Which team would you have rather been on, the Razor Sharks or the League of Cool Kids?
Well, I would say starting out, you know, before Anthony was able to get on the gold card, I would be with the Cool Kids.
Okay.
But I would overall be with the Razor Sharks because Anthony was the best.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be doing chores all the time.
Okay. Angelica?
Same. Razor Shark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Razor Shark.
Razor Shark. Okay, cool. Which job would you have wanted if you stayed in the mall? So you had the caretakers, the regulators, the enforcers, the cooks, and the fixers. You had those 5 jobs. So which one would y'all would have wanted?
Who did the cleaning again?
The fixers.
I would be a fixer.
Okay.
That I know how to do. I
Not a
don't know how to
caretaker.
fix, but I can. Heck to them now. If y'all son was there, that's it. No, because it would have been had me to. I can't see. I don't know. No, I wouldn't want to see babies struggle
Okay.
like that.
Enforcers, I think.
I don't think any female could have been the enforcers actually, but I think about it. But you were.
What were the enforcers?
They were like the police officers essentially,
And what was the one that Jared was on?
the regulators.
Regulators, that's the
Okay.
one that
Yeah,
I
I
met,
see it.
the regulators.
What about you?
Honestly, that's what I was gonna say too.
The regulators.
Yeah, because I mean, I wouldn't mind being any of them, honestly. But the way I think, I probably, if I would have took the test, would have been a regulator.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Did any character remind you of yourself?
Anthony.
Okay.
Yeah, she said that earlier.
Jared.
Jared.
I honestly think that Anthony's mom reminded me of myself.
Okay.
That's who I would say reminded me of
A lot of inspiration was drawn.
me.
Okay, so now we're going to actually get into a trivia question. I'm going to start with you. I'm going to get each of your answers, and then once you give your answer, I'll give the actual answer. Okay? So, Jonathan, who was issued a ticket on their way back to Silver City?
Oh, Imani.
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 It is Imani.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
Start with-
messing up.
Start with you, Gail. What was the name of Leah's dog?
That's a good question.
Hustler?
Charlie?
Just one answer.
Oh, sorry.
So, you said Charlie?
I don't remember, but I'm going to just stick with Charlie. But I don't think that's what his name
Okay,
was.
Charlie. You said Hustler?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Hustler. Okay.
I do not remember.
Give me something.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Okay. The
It's
answer,
up there.
the answer is Buster.
Buster! I knew it was something close to that, like Hustler or something big.
Okay, next question. What was the name, we're going to start with you, Jonathan. What was the name of the southern fast food restaurant that Anthony desperately wanted to visit? I'm going to give you multiple choice questions, all right? Or choices. Is it A, Sugar Bun, B, Dixie Bun, C, Dixie Fixins, or D, Solar Burger?
Oh shoot. Wait, what was the question again?
What was the name of the southern fast food restaurant that Anthony desperately wanted to visit? Is it A, Sugar Bun, B, Dixie Bun, C, Dixie Fixins, or D, Solar Burger?
I think Dixie Bun.
Dixie Bun?
Yeah.
Okay. Angelica?
Oh, it's either B or C. What is this second? The B and C again? Dixie.
Is it A, Sugar Bun? Is it B, Dixie Bun? Is it C, Dixie Fixins? Or is it D, Solar Burger?
Man, I would just go with B.
B is Dixie Bun.
Yeah, I thought it was
Okay.
B. Dixie.
Bun.
The answer is Dixie Bun.
Okay, good. I knew it was a Dixie in there.
Next question. When did Anthony receive his Bible? We'll start with you, Gil.
At the end of Vacation Bible School.
Okay. Jonathan.
His mom didn't give it to him? I'll go with the same answer she went with in the Bible study school vacation.
What you said was the answer. Yeah.
Yes, that is the correct answer. I should say you wrong just for the joke you said. Anyway. Next question. Gail, I have you do this one, and this has multiple choice options. What was the item atop Anthony's birthday wish list? Okay. Was it A, Laser World, B, the trampoline park, was it C, the Steel Fours, or was it D, the Game Core 2?
Game Core 2.
Okay. Jellica.
Which was his first two? A and B?
A was Laser World, B was Trampoline Park, C was the Steel Fours sneakers, or D, the Game Core 2?
It's either A or B. A? I'm gonna go with A.
A would be Laser World.
Okay.
Okay.
It's one of them two.
And Jonathan?
I believe it was Game Core 2, but I know he did want to go to Laser World, but I think it was Game Core.
The answer is the Game Core 2.
Because
Oh,
he
really?
wanted to go to
I thought it was
Laser
for
World
his
and the
birthday.
trampoline park.
If I'm not mistaken, I actually wrote it into it that the Game Core 2 was a top.
Oh, okay. Because I know his friend. Yeah, okay.
And he was going to
He's
go
playing
to
it.
Laser World and the trampoline park
Yeah.
too. So
That was on the list, but
Yeah.
the Game Core was at the top
Yeah.
of the list. Okay. Starting with you, Jonathan. Now this is a little tougher. What reoccurring song would Anthony hear throughout his adventure?
Oh man, something Tennessee. Oh man,
We're gonna leave it at that. Something Tennessee.
no multiple choice.
No multiple choice. I can't remember.
I'm gonna go with the Tennessee song
It
too,
was
but I
something
don't think
Tennessee.
that's what it. But I'm gonna go stick with that. I don't know if
It's
that's
called Tennessee by Arrested Development.
Oh,
God.
okay. Arrested Development. Yeah.
So I got that right.
Yeah. Next question. At what age did the teenagers disappear? Starting with Gail.
17.
17.
That is the correct answer, 17. All right. Next question, and it is multiple choice. What item was it that Anthony was finally able to have once he arrived to the mall? Starting with you, Jonathan. A, is it the staff? Is it B, the Steel Fours? Is it C, the multicolored hoodie? Or is it D, the Polaroid camera?
The multicolored hoodie.
Okay.
Multicolored hoodie.
Multicolored hoodie.
That is correct, the multicolored hoodie. Okay. And here's the last question. Gail, I have you start with it. What helped to create a stronger force field against the chimpanzees?
Singing this song.
Okay.
Singing.
They all had to sing along.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to find a song.
So that's all I have. I really do appreciate you guys taking the
That
time.
was fun.
I was really looking forward to this for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Really